Hey everybody, it's Javier, your home buying coach, and welcome to another episode of Should You Buy a Home with me, Javier. Hope everyone has their pink drink out because you know what time it is. It's time to shatter some home buying dreams. Just kidding. It's all about education here. Today's email comes from somebody. Once again, I don't know if I should share names or not. So if you guys are going to email me, here's my email. And let me know ahead of time, hey, you're allowed to use my first name. Because, you know, I don't want to dox you, you know what I mean? I don't know if your grandma's watching you and be like, oh, that Johnny sent an email to Javier about all this money and he hasn't paid me back my $300 I let him borrow, right? So, I don't know. I don't want to get into your grandma's business. Hello, Javier. We're a family of 6. We live in Westerville, Ohio. Westerville. No, not an original name, huh? They were just like, yeah, it's West and it's a Ville. Westerville. We are currently looking to buy a home this year. We're looking at new construction. She wants to stay in Westerville, blah, blah, blah. Looking to buy between $3,000 to $350,000. I have about $30,000 saved for a down payment and $10,000 for closing costs, adding up to $40,000. Currently paying $1,500 in rent, and our lease ends in October. Thank you for including your timeline, because I'll actually be able to help you with that too. Credit score is about 670. We have no car, no debts, one account in collection. It's been in collection for about 4 years and 8 months. Job history, 4 years. Okay. Looks like we have a gross monthly income of about annual income $59,520, and I have their take-home income as well. So let's see what's going on in Westerville, huh? I'm not saying too much, but he's saying, or she's saying, there's new construction in place. So, you know, we'll see. First and foremost, I always like to start off and see what the taxes are. Holy smokes, $5,000. What is up with property taxes being so freaking expensive in all these states, man? Arizona, like maybe 1,000 or 2,000, but geez, United States of America, I'm about to become one of them conspiracy theorists. $5,957. So we're gonna do just a quick little monthly cost estimate here. Per the email they had, I think it was like $40,000 or $30,000, so it's about 10%. But let's just say they're going to go with 5% down. Let's say interest rate's going to be 3.8. Interest rates are crazy right now. And let's just assume they're going to probably have to spend a little more to get the house. So let's just say 350. We'll just keep it at 340, whatever. We'll keep mortgage insurance. 264 is kind of on the high side. However, that credit was lower, so I'm assuming it'll be around 264. Probably going to be just slightly cheaper though, in my opinion. Property taxes were, what was it? $5,000. So what we do is we get $5,000. We divide that by 12. That gives us a more accurate tax number. So $416. We're going to play with the tax rate number till we get about $416. Home insurance, 120 is not bad, so I'll leave that it is. And there's an HOA dollars of $5 a month. Whoop-de-doo. Fun. So estimated monthly payment is going to be about $2,300. So that's the one that we're aiming for. And it's not a coincidence that our previous person that we did this for also was about $2,400. It looks like an average monthly payment for a house nowadays in the United States is between, you know, $2,000 to $2,400. I remember back in the day when it was only $1,200. So kind of crazy, right? All right, now it's everybody's favorite part. Let's pull out the iPad and draw. Who would know that this would be what I make a living on, is just drawing on an iPad. It's like a kid's dream come true. Well, I didn't have iPads as a kid, but anyways, let's move on. Instead of focusing on the price range, we're going to focus on the monthly payment, because that's the important part here, right? $2,300 looks different for other people in different states. So we are going to simply just put $2,300, and we're going to focus on credit, savings, budget, and since they were gracious enough to give us a timeline. So in the future, please, I recommend to do it because it helps other people kind of figure out theirs. Okay, cool. Let's start off with, I think the biggest discrepancy is going to be the credit, according to them, is 670 right now. 670 is not bad, but it's not amazing either. Okay. The good news is you will be able to go FHA and maybe conventional, but that's debatable. Probably it won't be that favorable with conventional. So normally this would not be good news to just be able to go conventional, but here's an exception. They are going with the new construction, and most of the time, you know, the new builders are notorious for a lot of things, but they're not notorious for their loan discrimination. They don't care. As long as you're paying the price, you're qualified, you have the down payment, and you have a pulse, they'll give you the house. So that's the good news. If you are going the new construction route, probably expect less resistance. But if you're going to go to resale market, you really want to make sure to work on that credit to bump it up to that 700. Now, you do have that. It doesn't surprise me that you haven't been able to get to 700 with that collection that's almost like 5-6 years old. You have enough savings. Honestly, it should have just been taken care of already. But in this case, I'm going to defer for you to make sure to talk to a lender first, because maybe you're at that period now where it's about to drop. I don't know. There could be a lot of factors leading to it. It's not just as always 5 years and it's done. Right? When we talk about the timeline, I'll tell you when to do it. But I really, really highly advise you to talk to a lender to see how you'd figure out that collection. If you are able just to freaking take care of that collection, you're probably going to be bumping this up pretty highly. So it'll probably start escalating quickly. But I would not give it time. With credit, you need time. Okay? So you can fix the problem, but if you don't have enough time, then it's not going to fix itself. So it's like a wound, right? If there's a big gashing wound, you can't just patch it up. Okay, it's done. No, it needs days, weeks, months to heal fully, or more like emotional trauma. So for credit, I'm not going to give this a check mark, no, an X. I'm going to give this a caution, because it is something that you're going to have to work on it for sure, because that 670 might not be enough to make it happen. So the next situation is going to be the savings. So the savings situation, I think you said you had 30,000 for down payment and 10,000 for the closing costs. In total, you had $40,000. The $10,000 is probably more than enough for closing costs. So you might have an extra 1 or 2K extra, or, because your taxes are higher, it might just be fully it. So either way, the closing cost situation is solid. Don't spend those 10K. If they have extra, great. If you don't, then you'll just need just slightly little more. So you really only have $30,000 for the down payment situation. So with FHA being 3.5% down, you only really need $12,250, which you have plenty of. Now, if you are able to work on your credit to just slightly bump it up, that's going to really give you a lot more options. You're not going to be able to do 20% down. Maybe, just maybe, you might be able to do 10% down if you spend the extra next few months saving. And you look like you're really good to go for 3% and FHA 3.5%. So off the bat, I'm going to suggest you really just focus on using some of that money, because if you go with this route, you're going to have like $12,500 extra. You can use some of that money to better that credit situation, and you can get yourself into a 5% down conventional, which is a bit more. If you have more time than you think you needed, or you're able to save at a rapid rate, I would just really push for that 10%. You didn't mention if you had emergency savings. So if you do have like an extra 5, 10, 20K separately, then try to push for that 10. If you don't have any emergency savings, you should not consider the 10%. And since you didn't mention it, I'm assuming you don't. So in this case, the 5% works because you have that extra 12K. Maybe you use $2,500 to pay off your credit, so your credit starts healing. You use that extra 10K to save it into an emergency savings account, because you definitely need that. So overall, I would say you're pretty solid for savings. I mean, you have enough. Is it amazing? No, but it's technically enough. A lot of people will always think that they need a lot more than what they really need. So the next one is going to be the budget. So how does the budget look like? Well, for our trusty budget, we're going to go to my budget affordability sheet, which is available once again in the link in the description. So go ahead and check that out. There's been already 2 updates that we made. Our lovely viewers, I think there's been already like 1,000 downloads. So thank you guys. But as you guys are like, hey, we're using this, I recommend do this. I am making updates to whatever you guys recommend, and I'm naming it after you guys. So maybe this might be one of you guys. If you have any, don't go looking for stuff though, just in case you happen to find something. Okay. So for the budget, he or she makes $4,960, and their take home is $3,997. No card notes, no debts, 1 account in collection. So that's $1,700. Literally could have been like a $200 payment or something, but so you have no debt. That's a good thing. So good for you. That needs to get worked on. And the thing about it, collections, guys, is you don't need to get rid of them. Like, you can buy with collections, but they just have to be like being worked on. You know what I mean? I mean, you could have even have $100 payment. You know what I mean? If you just call them up and try to make it work. So anyways, it looks like you qualify for $2,380, which this is a perfect scenario that people run into all the time. Technically, this person qualifies for what they needed to, but their affordability is not nowhere near it. So with the current situation, if you buy a house for $2,400, that's going to be approximately 70% of your monthly take-home income. Well, I think the numbers that were given to me maybe weren't accurate, because according to this, let me see, they are being taxed 32%. I mean, that's high. So, but once again, I'm using the numbers given to me. So according to this, they would be 70% of your monthly take-home income. And you should only really be buying under this limit. So right now, if we're playing with the numbers, and even if you buy something for $2,000, $2,000 will put you at 60% of your net income, meaning that 60% of like if you get paid bi-weekly, your first entire check will be dedicated to paying your mortgage, and only 40% of the second, that would be 80% of the following check would have to be not for it. So you only left to live with $1,297. Now, we don't even have their budget here, like, you know, your non-essentials. And if all that was in there, then it would actually be a lot more, you know, things. So it is too tight. I'm sorry. If this is the numbers that you're giving me, and that is truly what the monthly payment is going to be, you know, where you're trying to buy, maybe I'm hoping the situation is you didn't include maybe your partner's income, because with your partner's income, we can, you know, let's say even if they make an additional, I don't know, $3,000, so maybe their net is another $2,000, so that goes to $5,397. Like, even with that small part-time income being increased, that's already putting you in a place where technically you could buy. It'll just be the budget will be tight. It's your common situation of, yes, they can buy. Technically, if they talk to a lender, they will be able to pre-approve for the amount they need, but that budget is going to be really tight. They should only be really buying $1,400, so that way their net is going to be a lot more solid. So first time, I mean, there's a first place and everything, unless there's a number that wasn't given to me, and I'm hoping that's the case. The budget just does not make sense. Once again, I'll reiterate this over and over again. You can buy. You could technically buy. If you go talk to a lender right now, they will qualify you. This is not a pre-approval. This should not replace you talking to a lender. If you got to buy, you got to buy, right? But from what you're giving me, it just doesn't make sense. Now, let's assume that you maybe just forgot to include your partner's income, and now you're like, okay, what do I buy? Well, this person did say that their lease ends in, what was it? According to them, their lease ended in October. So what we're going to do here is we're going to actually use another, oh my God, another Google Sheet. I know, I get it. So these are just Google Sheets that I have made for like my clients, because when I do these consultations, I go through all of this together. Like everything we're going to right now, I do all these in my consultations. So I was just tired of doing it on freaking pen and paper. So I just made these. So this is the one I was going to show you today. So here's the thing. If your lease ends in October, okay, you always want to close a month beforehand. Why? Well, the way it works, the month that you close on your house and you get possession, so say it's December. So let's say in this case, they wanted to close by October and get possession of the house in October. Well, their first payment isn't actually due to December 1st. So if they were to close in October, they would have an extra 1 or 2 months to move. Yay, right? But the problem is you're really playing with fire here, because you're expecting that everything is going to go nice and smooth, that you're going to find your house by a certain time and you're going to be closing for sure in October. And there is no room for error there, because you have to be out according to that lease. And not only that, but you have to leave the house, the rent or apartment or house clean so you get your deposit back. So I personally always recommend you close the month after your lease is before your lease is over. Why? Well, your first payment is until the 1st of November, so you shouldn't have that double payment, and you get to possession of the house you're buying a month sooner, so therefore you have 30 days, hopefully a little more, but you know, sometimes a little less, to move out slowly, make sure you leave the place clean, and you will not have that double payment because you're closing. And of course, if things run late, you have that wiggle room of, hey, it can close in October, maybe, right? So if that's the goal, you want to be closed by September, and depending on if you want to, you know, let's say you're a little picky or not picky, all this does is it adds an extra month of home showing. So you want to start researching for your real estate team in June. You want to be pre-approved by July so you can start looking for August. Now, obviously the beginning of August, so you can be under contract by the end of August. Should only take 2 to 4 weeks to find a house. If you think you need more, add extra time here. But just know that if you find something in July and you actually make an offer and it gets under contract in July, everything gets moved a month before. And now you're at risk of making that double payment. So start looking in August to be under contract by August, closing in September with your first payment in November. But, you know, we're now in February. I would suggest, because the lending situation is so unique, is you actually start your pre-approval sooner. I think you should start your pre-approval in March just because you need to work on some things. You need to work on bumping up that credit sooner. So I would say for sure for the timeline, lender now, close in August. The budget really only makes sense for you to go $1,400, which isn't enough for that $2,200. So maybe hopefully there's some cities that are nearby that are a little cheaper. But I mean, we're talking $1,000 difference. I do see here that you're also looking in Black Lake, Ohio. So Black Lake, Ohio has houses under 300-ish. Taxes are still on the higher side, but maybe you have to go the Black Lake route. Maybe you go a little farther out, like, you know, Pataskalaca, Ohio. Nice snow. What is snow? I'm in Phoenix. I don't know what snow is. Taxes are still a little more expensive, but I mean, hey, it's a house and it probably works better with your budget. So that's my final recommendations for you. If you're looking for an agent referral, everybody, make sure to go to homeandmoney.com/Javier. Links in the description. Get yourself paired with an iced agent, and our team will follow up with the agent and you to make sure. So when you talk to them, make sure you let them know Javier sent you. Appreciate you. Of course, we got all the goodies that we talked about in the description as well. If you guys want to be considered for a future video, just go ahead and email me, and I appreciate your time. Everybody, hope you enjoyed your pink treats. Thank you so much. I hope you guys go eat some nice tacos this weekend. Some good ones. Don't go to Taco Bell. Get some good tacos.